Hey guys, Mr. Mimikyu here, and in today's video I'm going to be showcasing Toxapex in the Halloween Cup. My opponent leads with Houndoom, I led with Sableye. Here I throw in the foul play because they might think it would be a power gem, despite the fact that Purified Sableye doesn't need the power gem, and here I swapped into Toxapex thinking I would survive like, a flamethrower, but they end up throwing in Nidoqueen. I throw in the brine to do some big damage and almost taking them out, and I'm thinking, he's probably going to use Poison Fang, which he does. Like, oh my goodness, I didn't expect the call, and this is probably just going to be another Poison Fang, which it is. Oh my goodness, this is why Toxapex is so tanky. Here, we could just kill it with a brine, or we get the second shield, but instead they let it go. Here they have a Sharpedo, and to be honest, this is kind of scary. We can go into Golbat, and look how much damage those waterfalls are doing. Here I try to go for a Poison Fang and make an excellent catch on the Houndoom. Here we could just farm down, and then we can just basically try and farm down with Golbat and just surrender. Next opponent having an Umbreon. Now, to be fair, Umbreon is kind of tricky for this team because I cannot switch out. I'm kind of forced to stay in, and I definitely don't want to go into Toxapex because I'm afraid they might have Psychic, since Umbreon is most likely going to carry Psychic in this meta as opposed to Last Resort, which makes sense since like the only thing that you would do super effective against are the Psychic types. Here I let it go, but it ends up becoming a Psychic. Like, oh my goodness, that did a lot of damage though. Here I decided to let it go again, and it ends up becoming another Psychic. Like, oh my goodness, like, you gotta understand, I really wasn't expecting Psychic because like here the game just stuttered a lot. I don't know what the heck was going on, and here we could just proceed with the farm down, and we still have two of our shields. We can just throw in the brine again. Like, to be honest, I kind of wish Toxapex had Scald instead of brine, but that's okay. They end up throwing, like, oh my god, are you that chicken to throw? And we bring in Golbat, and I know it seems silly, but I shield last second just in case it was a Stone Edge, but it ends up becoming a Poison Fang. Here I throw in the Shadow Ball since, I didn't want to go for Poison Fang since it would be double resisted, and sure enough, we end up getting CMP. I'm going to let this go, and it ends up becoming another Poison Fang, and here we could just farm down the Nidoqueen, and we can just let this go. It's another Poison Fang. Now they're at -3. They end up having a Frostlass. I try to get to the Poison Fang, but fail to do so. Here we can shield up the Avalanche and then stock up on 2 foul plays, and we got this game win. There's nothing they can do. I throw in the first foul play, get their last shield, which we do. We throw in the second, and just so happens we take them out, and then we take down Nidoqueen with a Shadow Claw. Next opponent having a Arachnid. Now, to be honest, Arachnid is pretty tanky, and look how much those bug bites are doing compared to my Shadow Claws. Sometimes I always wish I had Power Gem, but since I am not a purified, I need a return, because without return, then Sableye would be an efficient safe swap for the Great League. And here you can look on the right side of the video to notice the IVs of them. Like, Sableye's IVs are not meant for PvP, though I still kind of wish I had a better one than this, but this will have to do for now since I plan to set it as my buddy. But here they have is a Trash Cloak Wormadam, and honestly, I throw in the brine right before they get off another confusion. We tank it they tank it pretty well since Wormadam is pretty tanky, and I could literally tell theirs is XL since my Toxapex does not use XL. I let the Arachnid go, and it doesn't do a lot, and we end up getting a confusion, so I feel pretty silly that I did that though. We end up getting the shield, we go into Golbat, and we're taking super effective from the confusions. Here I shield up just in case it ends up becoming an Arachnid. We could just basically try and farm down, and of course we have to give up our second shield. I know it seems silly, but yet their last Pokemon just so happens to be a Nidoqueen, and here I bait with the Poison Fang. They end up no shielding. Very smart by them. I throw in the Shadow Ball, and they end up shielding that. Like, oh my god, are you that crazy? Like, oh man. And of course, they throw right away, which happens to be Poison Fang. We try to get off the Poison Fang since that's all we can do, and I hope that Sableye could be able to kill it. We snipe with Sableye, and we just see the KO with foul play, so that's a good game. Next opponent having a Toxicroak. Now, to be honest, seeing Toxicroak in the lead isn't all that bad. They safe swap into Golbat. I could have gone into Toxapex, but at the same time, I don't really think Golbat would stand a chance against whatever they have in the back. Here I've thrown the Poison Fang since there's no reason to throw the Shadow Ball since it would be triple resistant. We end up throwing CMP, which is good. They go for another Night Slash and no boost, so that's good to know. We throw in the next Poison Fang on the CMP tied to the next Night Slash, and here we get another CMP, and honestly this is fine by me. We can just go for another one, but we decided to sneak in the extra just so that we can secure a KO on the Obstagoon, which we didn't, but now that we have a very bad shield disadvantage, so basically we're going to throw in the Shadow Ball against the Toxicroak to do some big damage, and that's alright, and bring back in Sableye, they have Umbreon. Now this is very scary now that we have a shield disadvantage against them. I'm thinking they might have Psychic, which could be kind of scary because, like, as I had said in like the first few matches, that Umbreon tends to carry Psychic in the Halloween Cup as opposed to Last Resort, because like Psychic helps against the poison types like Nidoqueen, Toxapex, you name it, because like, yeah, there's so many poison types. Here we survive the foul play. They try to catch, but we manage to hang on, and we can just throw in the foul play and take down the Toxicroak, and all I have left is an Umbreon, and basically I try to build up to return. They throw in the foul play. We take us down below red. Here I got a little scared because I didn't think I was going to get to the return, so I just threw in the foul play, and that's a good game. Next opponent having a Alolan Marowak in the lead. Make that Shadow Alolan Marowak. They say switch into Toxapex. Here I could just throw in foul plays. I just don't know why they would have to bring in Toxapex and do some meaningful damage, even though we all know Toxapex is extremely bulky on that defense. Here they throw the Sludge Wave, which I'm kind of confused why they throw that instead of the Brine, because like you could have just gone for Brine to do neutral damage as opposed to resist it. Here we catch what I believe is a Brine, and it does absolutely nothing. Here we can just safely farm down. They bring in the Alolan Raticate, so at least Sableye doesn't have to deal with it. Here they're going to throw in the Crunch to do some neutral damage. They don't get the defense drop. Here I go for a Sludge Wave. I know I should have gone for Brine to bait, but it was a good thing that I didn't bait. Here we can just let the Crunch go, and all they have left is the Alolan Marowak. I've thrown the Brine to do some good damage and take out the Alolan Raticate. All they have left is the Alolan Marowak, and here I throw in just before they're able to farm me down, you know, like, that's good that we end up getting a shield. We go into Golbat, and a lot of lag going on. Like, dang, you hate when that happens, though. Here they throw in the Shadow Bone, and they get the defense drop, which is kind of absurd. Here I decide to shield just in case it was another Shadow Bone, but it ends up becoming a Bone Club. Here I could have just gone for a Shadow Ball and be done with it, but instead I threw in the Poison Fang. It's so silly. And then we throw in another Poison Fang, and we end up, he ends up no-shielding, which is fine. We can just go into Sableye after we wait out our switch clock. You know, we can just go for 2 Shadow Claws and take them down. Next opponent having a Golbat. Now, to be honest, Golbat, we all know how it plays out. Like, you know, it's a 5 to the Poison Fang, 8 to the Shadow Ball, since you probably know the counts for Wing Attack. Like, it's so weird how, like, Zubat gets to keep Quick Attack while its evolutions don't. Like, I get that Wing Attack has the same type attack bonus, but still, we end up getting CMP with foul play, so we're able to tank the next one. Here I've thrown the second Wing Attack, or foul play, and we get them below red, and here I decide to no shield the Toxapex, thinking it's another Poison Fang, which it is. They have an Umbreon in the back. Now, to be honest, like, it was kind of silly for me to sack swap Sableye near in the end, but you know, it's probably going to help me here. I decided to shield, and it ends up becoming a Psychic, so thank goodness I knew what I was doing though. Here they throw in another Psychic. I'm going to double shield on the Toxapex, you know, just to preserve its health, because like Toxapex doesn't have the highest of HP. Like, it has the defense stats of Bastion. I throw in the second Sludge Wave. Here I throw into Sableye, and we end up catching a Psychic, which does absolutely nothing, but dang, that sack swap really helped though. Now basically I can just win this game, and here I throw in the Sludge Wave as opposed to Brine because I was afraid that Brine wouldn't KO, and so we did. They have left is Drapion, and this is pretty much game over for them. I know for a fact Crunch is neutral. We can tank the Crunch. they don't get the defense drop, so that's good to know. We throw in the brine, do some decent damage. I know Toxapex doesn't have the greatest attack stats since it's more particularly focused on defense as opposed to attack. Here we have is Golbat. We can just basically try and see if we can get a farm down. They get the defense drop. They try to catch but fail to do so. Here we can just go for a Shadow Ball. I know it's resisted, but then again, one more wing attack can just KO the Drapion. But instead, we didn't have to. Next opponent having a Golbat once again. We all know how this plays out. You know, Sableye wins in the 1-1 shield. Golbat basically throws right away, which happens to be a Poison Fang to lower my defense, so those wing attacks are doing more damage. I throw in the Foul Play to do some meaningful damage. They end up shielding, which is kind of ironic. Here we can just let in the second Poison Fang. We end up surviving on a sliver of health. Here we build up to the return, bait with the Foul Play, see if we can take him out, but instead we end up getting both shields. So that's not good for them since they're basically at a big shield disadvantage. I decided to call Poison Fang and worked out in my favor actually, and here we can try and call another Poison Fang, but I ended up shielding because I thought he was going to be at the Shadow Ball, but I was wrong. We can just go for heavy farm down. It's just all fun and games, you know how it is. Here he has Crustle, and at least I didn't align the Golbat against his Golbat, or else then I wouldn't be able to have the Toxapex against the thing. Here we snipe with Golbat. All they have left is Wigglytuff, and they concede the match. Next opponent having a Raticate. Now, I have to switch out of this. I decided to go into Golbat, and they have Frostlass. Now, this is kind of bad. I throw in the Poison Fang the same time they throw in an Avalanche, and what do you know? They don't end up shielding this, which is kind of surprising. Good job on calling my bait there, buddy. Here I throw in the second Poison Fang, hoping we can draw out a shield, which they do. They end up not throwing, which is kind of ironic because they're trying to go for an excessive farm down. We get off the Poison Fang. They end up throwing the Avalanche, which is fine, which is kind of a mistake by them. I could go into Toxapex, but you know what? Let's just play out with Sableye just so that they wouldn't hit me with an Avalanche. And they bring in Galvantula, anticipating my switch, which I'll say this, I guess it kind of makes sense. Here they're probably going to shield it since we all know Galvantula is super glassy. Here I decided to shield the lunge, which was completely silly, but yet you know how it goes. They try to catch a Foul Play. I managed to hold on my energy, and now we have the Raticate lined up with the Toxapex, and return does a lot of damage. Even though Toxapex is extremely bulky on the defense, that return does a lot of damage since Toxapex doesn't have the highest of HP, which is why I don't like seeing that Toxapex's HP is the same as its pre-evolution. They go for Crunch, they end up throwing it right away. Here we could just go for the Foul Play and stack up on 2. One to kill the Raticate since we can't farm down with Shadow Claw because it's triple resistant like Obstagoon. And then here we can just throw in the Foul Play, and that's a good game. Well played to my opponent. And of course, next opponent having a Galvantula in the lead. Now, to be honest, the whole point is basically throwing the Foul Play on the CMP, which was kind of unnecessary because we end up getting lunged to the face. And to be honest, I wasn't expecting it to happen. They end up shielding, which is kind of ironic, which I wouldn't expect. But here I tried to catch the lunge onto Toxapex, but it didn't work out. Here I shielded the discharge. Here I could just farm down, and I decided to let go the second discharge just to be safe since I don't want to waste both shields right away for whatever they have. And they happen to have an Obstagoon, which I guess I'll have to throw in the Sludge Wave to do some meaningful damage. But at least Sableye doesn't have to face it though, so that's a added bonus. They get worried about me throwing in the brine because they wanted to do some damage. And oh my god, they got the attack boost, which is kind of scary. But then again, we could just go into Golbat as opposed to Sableye since the Night Slash would be taken neutral from Sableye, but it would be the Shadow Claw. Here they have is a Drifblim. My only win con is for me to throw in the Shadow Ball, which I do, and they let it go because their win con was for me to bait, and I end up catching the Icy Wind perfectly. So that means Golbat didn't have to deal with it, and then they just throw in the Night Slash. So here we can just tank it. We got the wing attack through, and that is a good game. Well played. Next opponent having a Gardevoir lead. Now, I have to go into Golbat just in case, and it ends up becoming a Charm version. They have Wormadam, so it's good that we draw the Confusion user right away as opposed with Toxapex. So At least Toxapex doesn't have to deal with it. Here I throw in the Shadow Ball to do some meaningful damage. Here I decided to let go the Iron Head since Golbat has done its job, and quite honestly, I could have gone for Poison Fang just to lower that defense so that the Shadow Claw could do more damage. Here they throw the Iron Head, I let it go. We tank it all right, even though like Sableye's not that bulky. Here I anticipated the Gardevoir, but they ended up throwing in the Umbreon. I throw in the return. A lot of lag going on, but we do some pretty good damage here. They end up freezing for a bit, and here I end up thinking, you know what, let's see if they have Psychic. No, they do not. I throw in the Brine to do some damage here, but we end up getting their first shield. Yeah, first shield, and a lot of lag going on. Not now, game. Don't lag like this. And I got a little cocky. I decided to no shield just in case, and it ends up becoming another foul play. Here I go for a Brine on the Anticipate catch, and they end up shielding with the Gardevoir. Now we could just basically farm down. Gardevoir has nowhere to run, and here we can just throw in the Sludge Wave to do some big damage on the Umbreon. I know it's overkill, but I know a Brine wouldn't kill it that help, but that's a good game. Next opponent having a Wigglytuff. Now, same plan as Gardevoir. We go into Golbat, not Toxapex, and we end up drawing out the Galvantula. So it's good that Toxapex doesn't have to deal with it. I throw in the Poison Fang, which they end up shielding, and I throw in the extra wing attack just to be safe, and here they go for a discharge, and I throw in the Shadow Ball, which hindsight I should have like thrown in the Poison Fang, but because of that I did not farm down kind of. But here we can just go into Sableye because I don't think they have a chance against the Toxapex with the Wigglytuff. They bring back in the Wigglytuff trying to catch a foul play, but we managed to hold on to our energy. Here we can just safely farm down. Toxapex can just tank one move, you know, it's all resistant and stuff. We tank the play rough. Why I say foul play, I feel kind of silly because Wigglytuff doesn't learn foul play. I know I shouldn't have thrown the Brine because that was just a waste of energy. All they have left is a Toxicroak, which is running Poison Jab. Hello? You're supposed to run counter, not Poison Jab. Who the heck runs Poison Jab Toxicroak? Here we throw in the Brine. They know it's over because here I decide to snipe with Sableye, and that's a good game. Next opponent having a Shadow Nidoqueen. Now, to be honest, we all know how the Nidoqueen matchup plays out. They say switch into Sableye. Here I basically throw on close to near CMP, but the thing is they were desing though with the turn. Here I let the foul play get shielded since they have shielded mine. I throw in my own, and they end up double shielding their Sableye, which is not what I expected. But here we could just bring Golbat since like I could have like gone into Toxapex so that it didn't have to deal with Nidoqueen, but at the same time, you know, it's all good and dandy. I know Poison Fang wouldn't kill, so I just go for an overkill with Shadow Ball. Seems unnecessary, but it's done. Here they have is the Nidoqueen again. Now we can line up the Sableye, but at least Toxapex doesn't have to deal with it since Earth Power would be doing a ton of damage. They tried to catch a foul play on the Scizor, and look how much it does. Bang! Almost one-shotting it, which is why you shouldn't be running Shadow Scizor in the Great League edition of Halloween Cup due to how frail it is. And we tank an Earth Power. Holy crap, Toxapex is so dang bulky. That defense is like, mwah. And we end up shielding Poison Fang. I should have like shielded the Earth Power and then let the Poison Fang go, but that's okay. We all make mistakes. And of course, we get almost taken down, but we end up dying. We end up having Sableye with the move, and that's a good game. Next opponent having Beedrill, and we all know how to play this out. Like, you know, they're taking neutral while we're taking resistant. I throw the foul play on the CMP to the X Scizor because I wanted to align it up with the drill run, but it didn't work out in their favor. They end up shielding the foul play, and to be honest, I decided to shield up so I can throw in my next foul play, and we all know the counts is 5. But they end up making a strategic catch onto Mandibuzz? Yeah, Mandibuzz. And here I catch the, try to catch the foul play. Didn't work out, but they threw in the foul play, which Toxapex tanks it like it's nothing. Here we are going to build up to the Sludge Wave to do some big damage against this Vulture. We end up gaining them a Sneak, which didn't work out in my favor, but that's okay, because like that Sledgeray did decent damage though, despite the fact that Mandibuzz has a lot of defense and HP, because like it's known for its bulk, not for its attack. I decided to shield last minute so I can take back switch advantage, which is pretty much the key figure here. We basically load up with a drill run, and they have a Sableye. We've thrown the brine, which do some meaningful damage. It went alright. Here I sniped with Sableye with the foul play. They end up getting their last shield, which was fine. They bring back in the Beedrill, and you know what this means? It's Golbat time. Basically, like, any move that Beedrill throws is either double resisted or single resisted. From here, they're just going to throw in the Drill Run because it's single resisted, whereas Scizor is double resisted. I throw in the Shadow Ball against the Sableye to do some big damage to it, and we almost one-shot, and we take him down with some wing attacks. Next opponent having a Trevenant, and this is probably the shortest match I've had with this team, and they bring in Drapion, and they end up freezing a lot, and here I click on the return, and they concede the match. Oh my goodness. Last opponent. Now, this is the only loss of the video. Here they have is a Shadow Mawile. I can't do anything about it. I go in the Golbat as opposed to Toxapex, and honestly, I could have like let the Iron Head get shielded, but at the same time, I kind of got worried. Here, I throw in the Shadow Ball, and they end up shielding. Like, dang it, I should have thrown the what is it, the Poison Fang first, then the Shadow Ball, but I didn't want them to like double shield, but because they know this is a Poison Fang, they're going to survive that and take me down with a Poison Jabs. Now, I'm kind of in a bit of a pickle here. I bring in Sableye. I should have shielded this. I feel like an idiot that I didn't shield this, and to be honest though, like, you know, I was getting very excited, and they end up going for Poison Fang, and here they have, I should have like gone for a foul play, but I didn't, because I feel kind of silly that I did. All they have left is a Venusaur, which would be doing some decent damage with Frenzy Plant. Here I shield up the Frenzy Plant, not meaning to see that happen. I go for a bait with Brine to see if we can draw up their last and final shield, which they do, but at this point, this game is over. I can't do anything about it. But anyways, be sure to like the video. A like is very much appreciated. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to ring the bell for notifications. And until next time, this is Mr. Mimikyu, and I'm saying peace out.